Something you might want to ask what they're really thinking.
What's on Your Mind, powered by SchwannCadillac.com. I'm Steve Bakken on KFYR 550, 99.7 FM in Bismarck and Mandan. It is What's on Your Mind. It's called 1-800-228-0550, or you can email the studio, KFYR at clearchannel.com. We are broadcasting live from the North Dakota Petroleum Council here in Medora. Plenty to see, plenty to do. What a great opportunity to find out what is going on in the oil patch. Of course, this is put on by the North Dakota Petroleum Council, an annual event, an annual meeting here, and the amount of information disseminated at this event is unbelievable. Not just concerning directly with the oil companies, but all the pieces that come together in the puzzle to make what is going on in North Dakota work in the most equitable fashion possible. We've got a long way to go. We do have a long way before we get to things are running smoothly, but we are striving in that direction. And our next guest, one of the reasons that I wanted to talk with him was Tony Stracquity from the Alliance Pipeline, discussing some of the infrastructure issues. Tony, welcome back to the program. It's been a while, but we've had you on before.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it.
What a great conference. You're busy running around all over the state of North Dakota dealing with what's going on, and one of the things that Alliance Pipeline does is alleviate infrastructure issues. That's our biggest concern here in North Dakota, that's directly impacting a lot of lives. The thing that most people see directly is traffic. If you're up in the oil patch, you're impacted by traffic on a daily basis. My co-host today, Tim Fisher from VES, you drive it all the time. You see what the traffic is. It's a nightmare. It's horrible in some of these communities. We're striving to get better at it, but until a lot of those pipelines are in place and alleviating a lot of the infrastructure issues, what do? How do we move forward? And where does Alliance Pipeline fit into that picture?
Well, we fit into the picture from the side of taking natural gas from producing it to diesel and transporting it to a market. So we work to reduce the flaring out of the fields. And the producer can gather that natural gas, deliver it to the Alliance system. We'll drive that into Chicago where you can capture economic value, reduce the flaring, which is the waste of energy here, as well as potential environmental impacts. So from a natural gas transportation perspective, you cannot store natural gas at the well site. The Bakken is an oil drive, so people know the value of the oil that's produced. You can put that in a tank, you can get a truck, or put that truck on the wells to get into a pipeline or train. There are other options to move that to market. Natural gas doesn't have this option because of the volume of the waste.
We drive around, and to me, if we would have gone down that road, it makes much more sense. People talk about electric cars. We just saw a thing with the impact from the ExxonMobil people, what the impact is in, what was it, 2040, Tim? Maybe 10%?
Well, actually, ExxonMobil, in their chart, believes by 2040, there will be, I believe, 1.2 billion automobiles on the road in the world. Maximum 5% will be an electric-driven car, and the majority of those will be a hybrid.
Yeah, so the impact on what it's going to do with alleviating some of the stress on natural resources, it's not that big of an impact. To me, if we would have gone down that road of compressed gas, I think back to the 70s and the 80s when all these fleet vehicles were running compressed gas, either propane or compressed gas. Why did we get away from that?
The market just isn't technical, so it's more expensive because there wasn't a supply. What you can see in other places where they take either over-the-road trucking or bus fleets, convert those to natural gas. If it's in a contained market, you've got the outlet or the ability to deliver gas to fuel those vehicles. There is options to do a home fueling station. Honda sells a Civic that's natural gas driven, not gasoline, but natural gas. It's got a 250-mile range, so you got to plan, okay, where's my next fuel stop? Those are the challenges. We need the infrastructure.
Well, that's my point, is all the money that's been spent on the electric technology on cars, and having to basically reinvent a car, we're reinventing the wheel. With a lot of vehicles, whether it's gas or diesel, it's about a $1,500 conversion, swapping out the tank. You're not reinventing the wheel. You're not spending X more amount of dollars for a product that already works. That compressed gas solution, I think we would be so much further ahead if we would have gone down that infrastructure road with the pipelines rather than going down electric technology.
Right, and what you look at is when you change your vehicle, you would go to a specific natural gas powered vehicle, not do a combustion, that's not efficient. Over-the-road trucking is probably the first place. That's that Boone Pickens plan that we followed that, where he would take it, the main fleets, and they transfer over to electric cars.
And actually, Freightliner is actually working with some compressed gas vehicles up here, some semi-tractor trailers in the oil patch. They're experimenting with those right now.
Well, that sounds great, but you still have to have access to that product. So, Tony, can you talk a little bit about what's going on in Tioga and also the efficiencies of transporting this product?
Sure. From Alliance Pipeline's perspective, we've been working with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. We are a federally regulated interstate natural gas pipe with a new project in Tioga. It's an 80-mile, 12-inch pipeline that would start at the gas plant in Tioga and transport that gas to the Alliance Pipeline system, which we would then take into Chicago. It's an efficient way in which to capture that gas and the producer to actually get value for that gas. The state gets their own.
Has that started? When?
Thursday in Washington, D.C., the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, which now Tony Clark, former North Dakota Public Service Commissioner, is one of those commissioners. They have a hearing on our certificate. Once that certificate's granted, construction crews anticipated starting in October. We'll be in service moving that gas from June.
How instrumental is it with Tony Clark being in the position that he is now, and knowing firsthand what was going on here in North Dakota for moving forward on some of our infrastructure issues on a federal level?
It's a wonderful, I think, opportunity to have Tony Clark in the role. He's one of 5 commissioners that's appointed into the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission that looks at siting natural gas pipelines, looks at wholesale rates for electricity, looks at other elements of pipelines, rates for water pipelines, things like that. Having that role, having the knowledge and breadth of experience that Tony's had in North Dakota is wonderful. He's probably one of the more knowledgeable ones in the energy field.
You know, with the Public Service Commission, Tony going from the Public Service Commission here in North Dakota to that federal position, to me, the Public Service Commission is so instrumental in what goes on in North Dakota. They've got their hands on the pulse of what is going on in western North Dakota, in the oil boom, across the state, with not just the gas pipelines, both liquid and gas, but also the coal, getting the electricity out of the state of North Dakota. You know, there isn't an organization that works with you guys on a first-hand level like the Public Service Commission, is there?
No, there's not. At the state level, they're critical to how utilities and producers interface with a regulated entity from the commercial side. Clearly, the knowns of this level of the gas division is critical to the producers and how they site their wells, how they develop the resources.
Tony, you have the natural gas side and then you have the oil side. So you just mentioned the oil and gas. How closely do you work with the oil companies? For example, on this 80-mile pipeline where you're going to be connected with that. Do you run dual lines? Do you talk to someone about dual lines? Is it overkill? How do you work together?
Well, we work specifically with producers to look at moving natural gas and associated natural gas liquid products. The oil side is a separate element into obviously a variety of pipeline companies here in North Dakota. Alliance is half owned by Enbridge Pipelines, so we are related, but we focus on natural gas and natural gas liquids. When you look at the value component of natural gas, the months today is in the natural gas liquids. That's ethane, propane, butane, pentane, which at atmospheric pressure is a liquid. We pressurize it and move it in methane, which is natural gas, to the market in Chicago, where a sister company pulls 60 to 70,000 barrels of natural gas liquids out of the gas stream. Delivers the methane in the market, markets the natural gas liquids, which is why the producers get theirs if we do that.
You know, Tony, to me, it's such a valuable resource that, for all intents and purposes, is free. I mean, with what's being flared out there, it's free. You know, what's the timeline before, you know, we've all seen the picture on Google Earth of North Dakota. It's brighter than Minneapolis. It's brighter than Chicago. It's brighter than a lot of major cities.
That's a reflection, though, of the folks up here. Trust me, I'm from Minneapolis.
Thank you very much.
So is there a Lake Wobegon in North Dakota? That's what it is.
Thank you very much, Tony, for that compliment out here. But what is the timeline on having some of that infrastructure in place? We're not seeing all that wasting of a valuable resource.
And the challenge you see with natural gas in particular, because of the low value, because we have such an abundant now in North America natural gas. You've heard of the Marcellus gas shales, the Utica shales, Eagle Ford, Haynesville, etc. We have way too much supply for the demand. Now, as we see others like electric generators switch from a coal-fired to a gas-fired, we will see more and more demand. The challenge, though, is where's the economic value for these producers? Oil is dropping with their exploration and production here in the state. As they can get economic value, where it makes sense to connect to natural gas pipe to get it to some of the pipelines. Pipelines are not built on a speculative basis. We have to have a firm contract to underpin our building and committing.
Well, I'd like to see my truck driving on it because to me it's free. Or relatively cheap.
Well, from the numbers I heard previously from the Boone Pickens plan, roughly $4 a gallon diesel natural gas equivalent energy is about $1.
Yeah.
And low emissions.
And low emissions, better horsepower, better performance, better knowledge. To me, it just makes so much sense for what's going on in North Dakota, especially when it comes harvest season and planting season. A lot of farmers out there would like to see those prices come down, and that's one way to do it. Tony, thanks for coming to the program with us.
One last quick point.
Yes, sir.
I want to encourage everyone to use 811, call before you dig. It is the state law, it's damage prevention, not only you as an individual landowner, homeowners, but also for utilities that might be in your property. So please use 811.
We talk about that every time we have the Public Service Commission on. Thank you very much, Tony.
Appreciate it.
Tony Strakwadine, Alliance Pipeline, talking about infrastructure going on. We are broadcasting live from the North Dakota Petroleum Council in Medora with my co-host Tim Fisher from Bakken Energy Service. I'm Steve Bakken. It's what's